I'm here to remind all the parents out there listening that the mind stores information in images.
Yeah.
And the corporations know this, and they hire the top neuroscientists, child psychologists, et cetera, to climb inside the human brain and brand them for life. And so that's where the Disney and the Coca-Cola, these types of corporations, they're into branding. And I think it's been exemplified on YouTube videos or viral videos where they show children tomatoes, apples, yams, and they can't label what a fruit or vegetable is. But when it comes to brands, they know all the brands.
Of course, yeah.
And I sent my children to Waldorf education, and I'm here to tell you they have a zero media policy for the most part.
Nice.
We did our best to keep the children off of the devices for as long as possible. And it paid huge dividends.
Yeah.
And so it's not easy, but if you watch The Social Dilemma on Netflix, you'll see that YouTube, Facebook, and Apple executives do not allow their children on the devices.
All right, bro. We can let's get cracking. I'm going to
crack-a-lackin', baby.
Did she put? Okay, nice. Okay, I'm going to sync this up for my editor.
Here, I do this one.
Woo! Yeah, there you go. Awesome. Okay, let's do it. Welcome to Far Out with Faust, everybody. I am Faust Chicho, and today I am excited and delighted to be joined again by my friend Troy Casey. Let me tell you about this incredible guy and what he's been up to. Troy is a leading longevity authority and Czech practitioner. He has inspired millions of people to live with vitality and authenticity. His unique holistic approach uses nature-based simplicity that anyone can follow. He was a Versace model in Milan, Italy 30 years ago, and he studied nutrition, herbs, internal purification as a way of looking and feeling great in front of the camera. He has scoured the earth for the most powerful health and healing methods, working with indigenous tribes, studying ancient meditation techniques, yoga, and more recently from the Czech Institute, working closely with the one and only Paul Chek. His book, Ripped at 50, which I read in I think 4 days when I got it when we first met. Fantastic book. Very informative, very entertaining. I can't recommend it enough. A Journey to Self-Love. Yeah, it's still selling like hot cocoa on a cold day. Even now, I read it in 3 days. So he's transforming lives around the globe by creating educational and inspiring content every week across the social media platforms. And he's helping people live healthier lives. And he's also known as the Pied Piper of human liberation. Welcome back, my friend.
Yeah, baby.
Great to have you, man.
It's great. Hey, it's great to be here, man. And I'm excited.
Awesome, bro. Man, it's crazy. We met just a few years ago. I thought maybe we would start with something that's, very much a concern for a lot of people. The health, the brain health of our children, and what we're seeing in this society. And I know you have a lot to say about that, but it's a big concern for a lot of people because everyone has, even if you don't have kids, you have a loved one who, a niece, a nephew who you adore, and you want to see healthy. So I thought we would start there.
Yeah, well, I think it's about the future of humanity, right? And so this, for me, it's all about legacy and what we are contributing to the future generations. I studied with Maori healers for many years, and the great Maori healer, Papa Joe, said, if you are not creating a legacy for your grandchildren's grandchildren, you're wasting other people's oxygen. Wow. And, that's a pretty profound statement. Maori warriors, Maori healers are profound people. And, it's in alignment with 7 generations, the Lakota as well.
Yeah.
And I just think it's important that, life is sacred. This is a gift. And we can live in symbiotic relationship with each other and with the earth. And right now, we're on the precipice of ecological disaster. You've got the potential collapse of, species collapse, et cetera. You've got the Amazon rainforest, which is really where I came out of drinking ayahuasca in 2006, working with an herbal company in the Amazon and realizing the destruction of the rainforest, and then studying geopolitics and reading John Perkins' Confessions of an Economic Hitman.
Oh, great
and
book,
he came out of the jungle as well many years ago, then worked for the World Bank and understood the way of the world, the IMF and the World Bank offering third world countries loans.
Massive loans. Yeah.
Massive loans. Halliburton and Bechtel would get that money for contracts, and they would build infrastructure, roads, dams, waterways, et cetera. And then they would ask for the money back. Oh, you can't pay the money back? Okay, great. Well, give us your natural resources.
That's right.
And make your people pull it out at a slave wage, and then you can pay back your debt, right? So this is Panama, Ecuador, Chile, all the coup d'etats. And if you didn't listen to the economic jackals, then they would do the coup d'etat, like they did in Rwanda. And if that didn't work, then the American military. So that's Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Libya, anywhere natural resources are coveted. And I was working in the Amazon with an herbal company at the time. Peru is the number 6 exporter of oil. Ecuador is number 5. And we all know what Chevron did to the Shuar Indians down there. There was a lawsuit that spanned about 20 years, and it went back from the United States to Ecuador, and there all sorts of legal arguments, as is done in court, which, if you don't understand language, court is back and forth, and forth. And so for, I think it was about 17 years, they argued where the jurisdiction was. Kennedy actually just put this on his YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah?
Because his friend was the attorney for it. And during COVID, the court case that was finally won, $17 billion against Oxypetroleum and Chevron.
Wow.
So the attorney, I do believe, got caught up in a technicality, some type of misdemeanor, obstructing justice or some type of contempt of court. And never before... but he was locked up in house arrest, I do believe, in New York, all during COVID. I think he may still be having those issues. Again, Kennedy has this on his YouTube channel in the last year. It was posted, if you want to follow the story. And so you got Ecuador number 5, Venezuela number 4. We all know what happened down in Venezuela.
Fucking
and
mess.
then Iran is number 3. We're always at war with them. Iraq is number 2. And Saudi Arabia is number 1. And we occupy Saudi Arabia. So this is the oil and the way of the world, which is intertwined with the Rockefellers and which is intertwined with the Rothschilds.
That's right.
And this is the way of the world, and you can't get away from it. You can't save the rainforest or get herbal medicine to people, as I was doing in the Amazon. My business partner was Amazon John Easterling. He was called the solution to saving the rainforest by the Cousteau Society. And I grew up in the 70s watching Jacques Cousteau. I mean, you're a filmmaker. So, I mean that film is so slow now. Yeah. Most people would be bored to tears, but it was so interesting back in the 70s. Jacques Cousteau was amazing. And to get his children back down to the Amazon and calling the company that I was working with the solution, a solution, because you're taking botanicals that naturally grow and fruits and leaves and barks, and these things grow back. You harvest them and they grow back. And 25% of all cancer drugs and 42% of all drugs on the market get their impetus from rainforest plants.
Wow.
So we can create a sustainable system that is beneficial for all. But of course, I had to study geopolitics to see what was working, because I had major visions the first time I was in the Amazon. And then leaving the jungle, I witnessed mountains of sawdust, literal mountains of sawdust. And then subsequent to that is 2x4s on barges going up to Home Depot. Jesus. So I'm like, hey, we can do things in a better way. There's got to be a better way. And people don't realize bananas, oranges, chocolate, coffee, these things all came out of the Amazon. Yeah. Right? There's a lot of products.
Cinnamon too, I think, right? No, maybe.
There's a lot of products that we have that came out of the rainforest. Yeah. And so I postulate, and my whole work, my mission is to raise human consciousness and and change all systems. I'm here to change the Fed, the whole nine. And In the meantime, I need boatloads of cash to make things happen.
Right,
and I do believe that the media, because we're dealing with psychological warfare, the media is the linchpin.
God. Absolutely.
Right? And so we're dealing with psychological warfare. So you flip that yin yang coin over and you put life affirmative messages as opposed to this whole death wish that we have. Look at Liquid Death.
It's a death cult, man.
Look at Liquid Death. It's the number one seller on Amazon. Where did that brand come out of? It came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And so I believe the media can change everything. So, and my vision is clean air, water, and soil, and equitable systems for all mankind in my lifetime. I'm here to see this through. I'm here to save the planet, plain and simple. And that happened in 2006, about 18 years ago, drinking ayahuasca. And my visions and the integration and implementation of the visions that I've saw are still happening to this day.
Amazing, man. Amazing. I have had some incredible experiences with that plant medicine myself. I know that's something we talked about a little bit the first time we spoke, but you know, I think that in general, and your vision is incredible. And that's why you're here, and that's why we hit it off. I know from the moment we met, but I noticed, like, you know, and I don't think parents consider this when they hand their kids a device. I mean, I understand it's easier to give your child a device, but what I think most parents don't understand is what it does to their dopamine receptors, to their dopamine levels, and to the pleasure centers in their brain, you know, because what it does is it resets those to this extremely high degree. And then of course, everything else is boring. Everything else, you know what I mean? Like, how can you beat instant dopamine gratification? You know what I mean? You just put a device in that kid's hand. He played a game for 2 hours. So, you know, I see I don't think a lot of parents consider that. So I just wanted to put that out there for parents who may be listening.
Well, they don't consider it. It's also normalized. It's the norm.
Yeah.
And I'm here to remind all the parents out there listening that the mind stores information in images.
Yeah.
And the corporations know this. And they hire the top neuroscientists, child psychologists, et cetera, to climb inside the human brain and brand them for life. And so that's where the Disney and the Coca-Cola, these types of corporations, they're into branding. And I think it's been exemplified on YouTube videos or viral videos where they show children tomatoes, apples, you know, yams, and they can't label what a fruit or vegetable is. But when it comes to brands, they know all the brands.
Of course, yeah.
And so, I'm a student of Rudolf Steiner, and I sent my children to Waldorf education, and I'm here to tell you they have a zero media policy for the most part.
Nice.
And we did our best to keep the children off of the devices for as long as possible, and it paid huge dividends.
Yeah.
And so it's not easy, but if you watch The Social Dilemma on Netflix, you'll see that YouTube, Facebook, and Apple executives do not allow their children on the devices.
Yeah.
So move forward accordingly, parents of planet Earth.
Yes. It's a big deal, I think. And especially with, you know, we've had some recent, I don't know if you caught the podcast that Danny Jones did with Dr. Jack Cruz. For everyone listening, if you want your mind blown and, you know, expect a bit of consternation because it's pretty shocking, but he's a neurosurgeon who just retired, one of the best in the world, you know, operated 10,000 brains, et cetera.
Jack or?
Dr. Jack Cruz.
Yeah, Jack's great.
Yeah, you know Jack, right? Yeah.
I don't know the other guy.
The other guy's a podcaster who, I don't know, he finds a way to get some incredible people on his podcast. I don't know how he does it and remains platformed the way he does, but
Dr. Jack Cruz is great. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and he's been talking about the dangers of blue screen technology, where it comes from. So if you want to understand, you know, the origin,
comes from the mob.
Comes from the mob. It comes from DARPA. That's right. It was a weapon, a bioweapon, of course, that they put everywhere. You know, God knows what they're planning for it. So just wanted to put that out there, my friend. But let's talk about water. Let's talk about you have a lot of profound insights that you've learned from a lot of people. People have a lot of questions about drinking water, you know, and I want to make sure that we include relevant information for people who, you know, who can't afford spring for Aphora and buy these brands, which are, some of them are pristine and they're great, but they're not cheap. What can you say?
So let's go high level. Let's go free, right?
Yeah.
Findaspring.com. It's an antiquated website, and I do believe it may be for sale for anybody that wants to get it, but it's an old hippie website, and you can findaspring.com and go and find your closest spring. The problem is a lot of these water municipalities, they've plugged up these springs, and you can get fined. I know in Topanga Canyon, my friend had a spring right in his yard, and he just said that if they were caught harvesting it, that there's like a $10,000 fine or something like that.
Oh my God.
And I do believe that there is a spring that comes right. There's one near me in Scottsdale as well. It's in the McDowell Mountains. It's right up the hill. My holistic dentist brought me up to it. And so they exist. Look, springs are natural, right? That's the other thing. We're being sold scarcity. The world's abundant, right? So there's plenty of water.
Yeah.
They even do that. I'm living in
scarcity. That's the mindset.
Fear.
Fear.
They're playing us at the hormonal level with the media, sex and fear, right?
Absolute
so
deliberate.
They use the Kardashians or Marilyn Monroe type technology, and then they attract people, and then if you don't use the toothpaste, you're not going to get the woman, and then and then war.
That's right.
The boogeyman's
crisis.
The boogeyman's going to come and get us.
Yep.
Right. We've got to go to war in Iraq, Afghanistan.
We need more money.
Right. Well, actually, what we need is a pipeline.
Right.
We need a pipeline, and we need the oil out of the ground, and we want it pulled out as slave wage.
Yep.
And so that's the truth. I woke up around 9/11 to really realize that, because I was like, okay, this doesn't add up. This is bullshit, right? My BS detector was on high alert. So water, findaspring.com, find a spring locally.
What can they do when they find it?
Get a glass bottle from a...
Can you just drink it out of the spring?
Well, you probably want to test it.
Well, yeah.
And make sure. I was... there's the white spring and the red spring. I was in the Glastonbury tour in Glastonbury, England. It's where Avalon or King Arthur, the whole lore came from.
Right.
And there were two springs, one right across the street from each other. And there was the Glastonbury baths as well, these ancient bathhouses. It was really trippy to be there. And the Glastonbury tour is magical. I see you have the Mayan iconography. I've been to a lot of sacred sites in the world, and the energy is palpable.
Yes.
And so there I am in Glastonbury and Avalon, whatever you want to call it. And there was a spring literally right across the street. One was the white spring and one was the red spring. And the red spring had tons of iron in it. And I don't think it's probably optimal that you're going to drink that. And so I would just, check with your locals, have it tested, see if it's okay. And so
unless you're really in a pinch and you're gonna die, then probably you can drink it. But
yeah. Well, look, I studied with Mick Dodge, the barefoot sensei, and National Geographic made 39 episodes of The Legend of Mick Dodge, and he's amazing. I met him up in the Hoh rainforest, and he said, Giardia will clean you out. Maybe your je ne sais quoi or the God presence in you knows that, right? And maybe you need to drop some weight and have some Giardia. And Giardia can kill you. I'm not telling people to go drink out of the stream.
No.
But what I'm saying is that there's a natural element that is out there, and your intuition is always guiding you. The question is are you listening? And sometimes people need to clean out their body. And so the bottom line is we're mostly water. It's a good idea to source the purest water that you possibly can. And so spring water in glass. So you can buy a glass bottle on the internet, or you can go to the water store, for example, in Sedona. My boy David up there, Sedona Waterworks, he's got all the devices. He can sell you ionic machines. He can sell you filtered water. He can sell you a glass bottle with a cap on it and a strap, so you can go up the river and go to the spring and harvest it there. And then you're gonna have to test it and see how it works. If if you're getting purified water, that's stripped water, and it can also strip the minerals out of you. So there's a little science around it. What I tell my students is source the best water you can without going neurotic.
Right.
And the more videos I make on water and water quality, the more questions people have. You would think, and I like to simplify everything. You would think, the more videos I've made, people would be like, I get it. I get it. No. But actually the opposite is true. And so source the best water you can without going neurotic. Spring and glass is going to be best, right from the earth. And then from there, you can buy all sorts of devices. You can buy water distillation. At the bare minimum for your house, especially if you own your house, you should get a bolt-on reverse osmosis. Yeah. And that's going to pull out most of the contaminants.
Right.
From there, you're going to want to structure your water. I've had a vitalizer for over 17 years. I see all sorts of people telling me it's voodoo and woo-woo and this, that, and the other thing. However, at almost 60 years old, I have a certain level of hydration in me. I've been using that device and reverse osmosis, quote unquote, dead water, but it's purified from municipal water sources for the past 20, 25 years.
Right.
So the vitalizer is a $500 blender that whips it into a vortex. It lowers the surface tension, so it allows your cells to absorb it better. And it goes over a coral calcium charge. I do believe there are prill beads inside of it. And so, which is another element of purifying and mineralizing. And so, or you can get a holy hydrogen machine. Holy hydrogen is the highest technology from the Japanese to make legitimate hydrogen dense.
Hydrogenize the water,
Yeah. And so it's about a $2,500 machine. And again, it may be cost prohibitive to some people, but there's other ways you can structure your water. You can get, you can also get a distiller that basically boils the water and vaporizes it, and it comes out even more pure. Again, it is dead, it is unstructured. However, you can structure it, and so
structuring it is more simple. Like don't let. That is the right word, but it's a simpler process than it sounds like.
You could put a pinch of
salt. Yeah, we want real salt.
It's going to have minerals, and it's going to have a structure to it, and your body's going to
be able to absorb it.
Better. And so it's not so much the hydration, because dead water can strip minerals out of you. It's more about the structure of the water.
Right.
And so you can also use superfoods like spirulina and chlorella and wheatgrass, those types of things. Salt, clay.
Yeah.
Montmorillonite clay, very fine grade clay the Indians used to use. It's good for the gut. It's also a binder. And so source the best water you can without going neurotic. Baby.
Yeah. Just don't drink the tap water, especially in America. My God. For fuck's sake.
Unless you want to kill your gut microbiome and calcify your pineal gland.
And make your brain less functional.
Correct.
Yeah. My God. It's amazing that that was a conspiracy theory until just 6 months ago. I literally got into arguments about it. People are like, I'm not interested in conspiracies. I'm like, it's not conspiracy, that's science, man, but whatever. Go ahead, keep feeding your kids fluoride pills. See how's that worked out for the family, but people don't want to hear that, So you recently made a video talking about the industrial chemicals found in sheens. Is it sheens or shines?
Shines. Temu, plastic crap from China.
Products, clothing products and other products. And this is a big thing. And thankfully, I think more and more women are becoming acutely aware of some of these
PFAS going up their vagina.
Yeah, and on their face every day, powders. And, I would love for you to talk a little bit about that, because that's a big thing, I think, that is still very prevalent, especially among women.
Makeup and chemicals we're paying to slather in our lymph nodes and breathe in the fragrance, and fragrance is a known neurotoxin. Russell Blaylock wrote a book on that, neurotoxins, and so it's going to affect your brain chemistry and your ability to make better decisions. And then you've got yoga pants made with all sorts of chemicals, and most women don't wear underwear with it because it bunches up and you can see the lines.
Yeah.
And so all those chemicals get up into your vagina and start climbing up that way. And then we've got, high incidence of PCOS and all these other, weirdo newfangled diseases.
Yeah.
And so, what I advocate is living a natural lifestyle as much as you can in the modern world. And I love the modern world. Let's face it. I love the modern world. I love living on planet Earth. I'm grateful for the government so I can flush my toilet and go down the street and people don't run into me and it's not complete chaos. Although there are Asian cities that don't have as much, like Bali and Thailand, I hear, they drive a little crazy. India and stuff like that. And so, and still they have some order out of chaos, right? But I do like the way society functions. I do think that I know that my construction worker buddies always complain about all the permits that they have to get, but we do have structures that don't collapse, right? So I do believe that society and government has a certain level of function, right? And so I just think that as human beings, we can optimize. And we are not even, Einstein said that we're only using 5% of our brain. So we have plenty of room for growth. And I believe in a world beyond money, passports, war, weapons. We're not there yet. I do like a border currently, even though it's been pretty vaporized politically. But the bottom line is we can do much better. And so, and it's all about choices and awareness. And most people aren't even aware. Whereas healthy to the degree we are conscious, and we are conscious to the degree we are healthy. And right now, 75% of the American people are obese or overweight, diabetes epidemic proportion. 1 in 2 will get cancer. Men over 60 will most definitely die of prostate cancer. And so I just postulate that we can do things in a better way.
Maybe we missed something.
And we can get back to a natural function of life. Now let's look at the frequency of linen. Let's look at the frequency of wool. I like cashmere. It's very opulent feeling. It's very warm. It's functional. I like organic cotton. It feels like cashmere. It's opulent. And I'm not the only one talking about this. Patagonia or Patagucci, whatever you want to call it, these guys pioneered this 30 years ago so their children wouldn't be drinking the pesticides. And so we still haven't fully caught on because cotton, soy, corn, these are some of the most sprayed crops and industrial chemicals. And that's all money making and business, et cetera. And so it's greed. It's not, I don't know if it's just human avarice or diabolical, intention. It could just be greed, right? And so I postulate cashmere and organic and linen feels amazing.
Right.
Can we get back to basics and can we raise our frequency and vibration to where we're just feeling amazing all the time? Or at least because we live in a dualistic paradox, right? Can we at least raise the vibration and then do what the Zen masters, the Qigong masters did, right? Walk the razor's edge. We have yin and yang.
That's right.
So how close can we come to center, to balance, without going into, we have this dualistic nature. Do we have to swing from complete debauchery and hellfire to your best impersonation of Christ and the Buddha? There's a balance to be found and to be enjoyed once it's found, but it doesn't always come easy because a lot of people are dealing with subconscious programs which can come from a very traumatic childhood. Parents do the best they can with what they're working with, but they don't always hit the nail on the head. In fact, I think it's safe to say that most of the time, they miss to some degree. And that's just the nature of life. Miss to some degree, but how about all the bullshit we were talking about last night with World War I and World War II? Yeah. And your grandfather was fighting wars and watching people die and get their lungs punctured by bayonets and,
trauma.
Fucking trauma up the wazoo for what?
Right.
For somebody's political gain or...
For nothing.
From nothing, exactly. And so that's where a lot of this trauma comes from. And those, war-torn soldiers come home and beat their kids or, some other transfer of trauma. They're trying to normalize sexual debauchery right now. And most of the people that I know that, were diddled as children, they end up living that type of life later on. And so, let me phrase that a different way. Most of the people that I know that are homosexuals were diddled by their uncle or their father, et cetera. And so there's a lot of abuse that just goes from one generation to the next. And now that we're trying to normalize pedophilia, and all this transhumanism stuff, it's moving towards transhumanism. They've got nanotechnology, whether it's coming out of the skies or, wherever it's coming from, and they're normalizing, or whether it's coming from the poison injections, childhood injections. People follow me online and they write comments all the time that their children started to go weird or trans after they got their injections, et cetera. And they're trying to normalize this, right? That's the transhumanism, Ray Kurzweil, Homo Deus, World Economic Forum fuckery, right?
Yep.
And I'm over here talking about balance, right? Yin yang nature. The Taoists kind of had it interesting setting back in 5,000 years ago. The yin and the yang. Let's balance between that. And so I just think that all this manipulation,
falsification, manipulation, complete just bombardment of misinformation about everything, about fucking reality, not just history.
Yeah, and I studied enough meditation. I'm down for equanimity, right? Yeah. How can I find that neutral position? The essence in the middle of the atom, right before it's split, is neutrality. That's where the power is, baby. Mm-hmm. That's the power of God right there, the neutrality while the chaos is swirling. And so finding that element. My mentor, the great Paul Chek, he likes to say, Luke Skywalker needs a Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So, and you wouldn't have a show if we didn't have all this bullshit and the fuckery around us. Again, I just postulate back that we can find balance and we can elevate beyond this. Could you imagine if we were all just artists and we were creating? We can get technology and permaculture and regenerative farming to lock up the food. There's only 4 human needs: water, food, fire, and shelter. Right? Fire has represented this technology, right? This is electricity. It's going out to the rest of the world. Also, we are sitting around the fire, which is the oldest shamanic trick, is to tell stories. Or one of the oldest shamanic tools is drumming, right? And the other one is just sitting around the fire and telling stories. Well, we still get to do this, right? And this is the story I'm telling: clean air, water, soil, and equitable systems for all mankind. Do we need to have absolute chemical fuckery? Do we need to clog the whole planet up with forced bond industrial waste, right? The term I like to use, because people will be like, oh, you're a fucking socialist and a communist and you're utopian woo-woo bullshit.
Did he say equanimity?
But here's the thing. Here's your scientific term if you guys are all into scientism.
Right.
And so it's called biomimicry. Life creates conditions conducive for life. A spider will make something 5 times the strength of steel in an aqueous solution at room temperature with
nothing
things
but
in its local environment. It doesn't take things far away from the chemical, periodic table and then take super high heat and burn it and force bond it. And
it's destructive.
And get these toxic chemicals out into the environment with other toxic chemicals. Right. Who knows what's going to happen? Well, what's the leukemia? Who has non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and leukemia and ALS statistics and all these newfangled diseases that just keep popping up. Autism is now 1 in 17 or 1 in 34 on its way to 1 in 17. And 100 years ago, it was non-existent.
Right.
And then everybody's like, oh, well, that's just because we're detecting it
Yeah,
now.
we didn't know.
We didn't know how to observe it before. Really, you couldn't observe
fucking Dustin Hoffman and Rain Man. You know what I mean?
you couldn't observe sickness, right? That was an anomaly, not a norm, right? Obesity was an anomaly. If you were fat 100 years ago, you were in the circus, right? And now it's the norm. And so we're just getting back to balance, guys.
Yeah.
Balance, biomimicry. Let's have metrics that are based in peace and harmony.
And health and harmony. You know, it's very, the societal structure that we're living in makes it very difficult for the average person to even consider living this life. And that, again, is by, excuse my French, fuckery of design. You know, it is the structure that was put in by families like the Rockefellers, you know, and these people who understand that, you know, if the worker ants had a chance to stop and, you know, contemplate their existence, and if they have that chance for too long, then there's a strong possibility they're going to say, "What the fuck is going on up there? What are we doing this for?" You know, there's plenty of everything. Why do I have to continue to work 3 jobs to put food on my table? You know, when the product I'm making is making hundreds of billions, even trillions of dollars for a few people. Why can't it make a lot more money for the rest of us? And so the biggest thing that I'm trying to say is, like, given that, you can begin to have a more conscientious approach to your health, even if your lifestyle is, you know, very intense and your schedule is intense. And that's just keeping in mind the basic things you were talking about. It doesn't, you know, whatever your schedule is, maintaining a level of health will help you spiritually, emotionally, and everything else. Everything becomes more difficult when your health deteriorates. So it's got to be a priority, even if you are, you know, a very content worker bee, you know, and you love working your 12 jobs. You know, I mean, because there are people who
burning the candle.
They don't realize they're addicted to that lifestyle. You know, they're addicted to the stress. Stress becomes far more habitual for most people than it is truly, you know, external. That's what I've come to observe a lot and believe. You know, because you see people, you know, you take them out of the situation and they, you know, maybe they're not in traffic at 5 p.m. on Thursday because they're on vacation, but right around 5 p.m. on Thursday, they start bitching at their wife about something for no good reason, because the body just has a, you know, it's habitual cycles.
Well, we're addicted to those polypeptides. I think What the Bleep Do We Know? What the Bleep Do We Know? I think is the name of the movie. That was like 2005 or something.
Dr. Joe was in it, yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Joe. And so What the Bleep Do We Know? It talks about the polypeptides. We get addicted to the chemicals inside of our own body of the drama. You know, human beings are intrinsically, you know, intertwined with drama, right? They love drama. Dostoevsky has a good quote about drama. It's like somehow that we're just addicted to it, right? And again, back, you know, you were talking about Rockefeller a moment ago, and you know, again, that I think that just comes back to the scarcity mindset, fear, right? And I think in the spiritual circles, we've heard it be said that there's love and fear. These are the two energies, yin and yang, masculine, feminine, inhalation, exhalation. And so, you know, we're and then the spiritual people are all, you know, love and light, baby, right? And I lived in Sedona and I lived in LA, and you get surrounded by the spiritual community. And again, there's out of balance in that as well. Like everything's just love and light as they're couch surfing around the world, you know, being broke and complaining about that, right? It's not all love and light. You know, we've got to show up at a certain level. And so, but with the Rockefellers trying to control everything, again, that's just fear. And it's coming from a scarcity mindset. And, you know, for each individual, you know, that's what I'm doing for the most part, is simplifying it for your average man, for your everyman. And so when we get back to the basics, sunlight is free, grounding is free, moving your body is free. Sourcing water, as we discussed, can be free, right? But just wrapping your head around, how am I going to source one of the top elements that I require? How am I going to optimize my breathing pattern? I made a breathwork course a few years ago, and you know, it did amazing online because that's free energy. Yeah. I love talking about Nikola Tesla cold fusion, possibilities of a new energy source beyond oil. Well, hey, Qigong was harnessed by the Taoists 5,000 years ago. It's already here. Free energy is here. We just have to tap into it. It's a consciousness. It's an awareness. And it's back to the abundance mindset. So if you're a worker bee and you've been programmed by the Rockefeller educational system, the Rockefeller insurance, medical fraud situation, then know that you can break free by being your own doctor, by being your own medicine man, by being your own free energy harnesser. Instead of just going to the gasoline pump to get energy for your car, etc., you can use Qigong. You can harness your own energy, up your vibration. Then you can start sourcing organic food, which, FYI, newsflash, pay now, pay the farmer, pay the doctor, or
pay the dollar extra now, or you're going to pay in medical bills.
Pay the farmer, pay now or pay later. The bottom line is you can save a lot more money tapping into the natural world and the natural medicine and the nature-based principles than you can going through the commercial conduits. Everything and anything in the commercial system, while there can be some great entertainment out there, just get away from the commercial system as much as you can without going neurotic again. Right. And it's much cheaper, it's much more beneficial because the true bank, the true wealth, the health is the wealth.
Yeah.
When you raise your frequency and vibration, sitting across from you, we went to dinner last night, you're shining, right? Your energy is high, right? That is the true wealth.
Yes.
Right? And moving forward as well, especially with the internet, you've got all the crypto and the Lambo bros and everybody's, screwing each other out of money and scamming each other. Again, I believe in a world without money.
Yeah.
We're not there yet. We still have the Federal Reserve. And but in the meantime, I want to access as much free energy as possible. My biggest wealth is I'm time rich. Right. I'm not nailed to. I'm also doing what I love.
Yes.
So work is play for me. This is work for me. I'm traveling halfway across the nation to come here and do your podcast. This is not work. This is joy for me. And so when we align with that and we all give our gifts, because some people like to grow food, Joel Salatin. Some people like to cook food, right? I have Chef David Schmidt up there in Sedona who owns the water store. He's an amazing, holistic chef. I've got plenty of other friends. Some people like to teach children.
Yeah.
Some people like to make babies like me. Right? And so the bottom line is we all have our own little je ne sais quoi. We all have our gifts to give.
Yeah.
And I do believe in the gift economy moving forward. So my 4 major solutions, because we haven't gotten into my President of Planet Earth campaign, but my 4 major solutions are free energy, the gift economy, self-care education, and permaculture. These 4 things will save planet Earth. And it's already been in the template of man, the mind, the consciousness of man. Tesla technology, cold fusion has already been here. Nassim Harameyn's been talking about it for decades. Self-care education, when we take care of the instrument, we naturally take care of our local real estate around us because we realize that we're in symbiotic relationship with everything and everyone.
Right.
And then permaculture, you drop a seed in the ground, it fruits food. And so all we have to do is get down to some basic fundamental principles and we can create or realize heaven on earth. Heaven on earth is already here.
It is.
We just need to realize it.
You're absolutely right. And it's the great struggle right now, and I see the transitional phase that this species is in, and I have more hope than ever that we pull through this. But you said so much that I think is relevant. And for people who are, who feel stuck, it becomes a gamble. It becomes a risk. At least that's what it feels like. How can I leave my job and pursue this thing that I may love when I have to, when I may not be able to put food on the table? Well, I mean,
don't quit your day job. We're not saying that.
We're not saying.
But I'll help.
But we are. But what I am saying is that if you begin to align with your heart's desires and begin to take joy in what you're doing, then abundance is going to find you. You're going to find a way to get through until that becomes, let's say, lucrative, whatever it may be. So everyone is so busy trying to fit into societal norms and what their parents are concerned about, and you should be doing this and I should be doing that. Like, what do you want to do? What excites you and makes you happy? What fires you up? Because that's what you should be looking into.
Correct.
That's where you should be spending your time. That's going to give you a state of joy most of the time. And when you put that signal out, you're going to continue to get it back, and it's reciprocal. So I'm just encouraging people who are listening, to be brave enough to be in the unknown, if only for a little while the universe sorts itself out for you for once, instead of you trying to sort yourself out for everyone else.
Well, and that's the essence of what I teach. Legacy, purpose, dream the impossible dream. That's how the universe works, right?
Yeah.
We're being programmed against ourselves. But if we would just follow our heart, and man needs purpose.
Yeah.
If you chase paper, like I put in the first chapter of my book on the legacy chapter, I chased paper in the modeling industry, and it was a dead end road.
Yep.
And I made myself miserable and got into alcoholism and drug addiction and all sorts of nonsense because I wasn't following my heart. And so man needs purpose, and that purpose is based in your passion.
That's right.
Passion is true electricity, the passing of ions. If you break down passion, it's the passing of ions, which is electricity. Follow your bliss. Isn't that Joseph Campbell?
Mm-hmm.
Don't quit your day job. We're not telling you to quit your day job to transition. You don't want to live in the gutter. Although I have friends that went homeless for a while to find themselves.
Wow.
My buddy Jamuna, he lived on the streets in New York City, and it's cold there in the winter too.
Oh my God.
And he had a broken back, and he had all sorts of issues. And this is one of the most spiritual brothers that I know. And so the bottom line is you don't have to quit your day job, but get clear on what it is that your heart desires. What I have my students do is write their eulogy, right?
Wow.
Figure out what it's going to say on your tombstone, or become the author, the authority of your own life. Sit down and put your flag on the top of Mount Everest.
That's right.
I came, I conquered, I saw. Like, meditate on your mother reading your eulogy, or your best friend.
Yeah.
And say, this is the life that I've come, and put your stake in the ground. Like, go through it and meditate, because you don't have to be a victim. You don't have to be...
You're not a victim.
And you don't have to be your job or whatever other slave mechanism that you have picked up. And then all the other stuff that I'm talking about is free. Moving your body is free. Grounding is free. Sunlight is free. Water is, you can get some free water, but the bottom line is move your consciousness in that direction. I help people save time and money at the grocery store. We have an organic farms up in Utah.
Nice.
We deliver it straight to their house. You can start to move in that direction. Breath is free. Breath is the first form of nutrition, right? Mm-hmm. Oxygen and sunlight are the first forms of nutrition. Right? You need sunlight to live. It's the source of all life on planet Earth. And then oxygen right after that. You don't have any oxygen, you're dead in 3 to 5 minutes. So optimize your diaphragm and your breathing patterns. A lot of this stuff is free when you wrap your head around it. Consciousness starts. We're only healthy to the degree we're conscious, and we're only conscious to the degree we're healthy.
Absolutely. And that health is referring to both emotional, physical, spiritual, right across the board. Every aspect of health is going to contribute to your happiness. We were talking about Goethe last night. The
writer of Faust.
The Johann Wolfgang. And one of the quotes I read from him, even before I knew he wrote the play that not that I'm named after the play, but he said, the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves to
you and through you, baby.
Whatever you think you can do or believe you can do, begin it. Action has magic, power, and grace. Yeah.
I love that. Please send that to me, because I am going to... Actually, I have a coaching call right after this, and so I'm gonna...
I'll shoot it to you. But I just love that quote, and it's so true, my friends. It's so true. If you begin to move in alignment with yourself, the universe is going to rearrange itself around you. You just have to be willing to follow it. And a lot of people aren't. They're hesitant because they're so used to doing things one way. So I just want to put that out there. You'll see magical things happen. You may even witness miracles.
Well, you have to claim it.
Yeah.
You can't have in the hand what you don't have in the mind first. Mind is an embodied process. So if you don't like what you see in the mirror, nothing gets my goat more that people just want to mentally masturbate on Huberman 3-hour podcasts on all this science and scientism and Peter Attia, because they're all MDs, and it's like, oh my God, this is fucking great. Yeah. But they never change their lives, right? It comes down to the action. And so get it in your mind that you can have whatever you can see for yourself, and then providence moves to you through you. But claim it first.
Yeah.
And what does the heart desire? If you want a healthy body and mind, again, we don't need the blood tests. We don't need all this scientism and all that stuff. We just need the mirror and the toilet bowl. Those are the best diagnostic tools. True. And then I want to be healthy. I want a beautiful body. And then you start moving in that direction. Find other people you can emulate from.
I have to, because this is something that I am also becoming more and more aware of and looking to put more into my life. Mold, parasites, both. How can people begin to be more conscientious about these things? Because a lot of people, I think, don't realize that they're being exposed, or that maybe something that is going wrong could be parasitical, if that's a word. So I want to know what you do about that, and also, is there protocols? Is there cleanses? Is there a detox protocol that our viewers can look into if they think that they just want to make sure that they're not, that's not what's going on with them?
Well, let's look at it this way. Let's go high level, like I do on almost everything. So we're in symbiotic relationship with mold, funguses, bacteria, etc. These are part of the primordial soup that we are a part of. And when it comes to fungus and parasites, they have millions, if not billions of years of ecological development upon us, right? And so I think there's been fungi that's been found on meteors, et cetera. And so we're in relationship with these microbes.
Absolutely.
In fact, our body is made up of these microbes. I do believe it's the ATP. So the majority of our body, I think 10% of it's only really
That's right.
us.
That's accurate.
And so we're in exchange. We're breathing them in and out. Parasites are heat-seeking. So if you've got an inflamed gut, they're like, hey, come on, guys, let's go over here for the food, right? Yeah. They're just opportunistic, right? They're also Mother Nature's garbage cleaners. Mm-hmm. And we've trashed the planet right now, so it makes sense that they're on proliferation. And if you look at Dietrich Klinghart's work, he's the #1 guy on Lyme's disease and autoimmune. He talks about ambient Wi-Fi in his lab grew parasites and fungus. I do believe he was studying black mold, Stachybotrys, and it grew the mold by 600 times. So Wi-Fi, cell phone towers, et cetera, allows for these dark microbes to proliferate. And what are we dealing with? We've got all this weirdo technology, brand new technology that's allowing these microbes to proliferate. And then we've got all these new sugars and fake sugars and cane sugars and all this. And sugar feeds fungus. Yep. Sugar feeds parasites. And so, and again, back to this is nature. These are Mother Nature's garbage cleaners. When your body decomposes, what's breaking it down?
Right.
Fungus, mold, parasites, larvae.
It's all in there already.
Right. This is nature. So don't be a host. Fortify your system. Now, look at our animals. We deworm our animals regularly. What's in ivermectin? Ivermectin is a derivative from wormwood. Right. Wormwood is a natural herbal medicine. Before 200 years ago plus, we were using herbal medicine. Yeah. Rockefellers changed that and lambasted all the natural healers and the natural methodologies. One of my mentors was Ada Clark, the Golden Oracle. She lived in Oracle, Arizona. And she was a psychic lady. She's a really cool woman. She gave me a book before she died. It was all on home remedies. And she was born on the prairie in Wyoming. Wow. There's no pharmacies. There's no hospitals. There's no doctors up there. And what was this book all about? It was all about the local herbs that are in your area. And then it was apple cider vinegar, baking soda, hydrogen peroxide, kerosene or turpentine.
Right.
These were the natural elements that would be used for healing. Herbal extracts in either tea or alcohol mashes. And so by the local plants, this was natural medicine. And we've just gotten so far away from it with petroleum-based medicines, if you will. Petrochemical byproducts are in pharmaceutical drugs. Plus, you can't patent a plant. So back to the greed aspect.
Exactly. That's huge. So do you do a parasite detox? Like, do you do one like every couple of years, or should people like consider doing, like something every so often to make sure that everything is, I mean, I think most people would know it, if your health is good, then chances are things are in decent balance, but I know a lot of people want to be proactive, which sometimes can be a good thing. But is there something that you do, like, to make sure that your parasites are not
proliferating, and that I'm not the ultimate host?
Right.
Yes. I mean, I've been doing herbal medicine. I mean, we deworm our horses, our dogs a couple of times a year.
Right.
And again, ivermectin, which is horse dewormer on Joe Rogan,
That
right?
stuff, yeah.
And remember, ivermectin won the Nobel Prize,
Of course,
in I think 2015 or something. I mean, this drug
been around so long.
It's been around for so long, and it's kind of like aspirin as far as drugs go.
Right.
It's fairly innocuous. So the bottom line is we do deworm our animals, and I've got into fasting, internal purification 35 years ago. I had troubles with my digestion. I was a fashion model sitting in Milan, Italy. I was bloating. I had digestive problems, and it was affecting my work, the way I look and feel in front of the camera. And so I got into nutrition. From there, I got into herbal medicine, fasting, diuretics to clean out the kidneys, to get the bloat out of my face. And then I started studying liver, colon, and how my body functioned. And I would do cleanses, herbal detoxification, and I would get amazing results. My skin would pop, my eyes would pop, the inflammation would go out of my face. So a few times a year for the past 35 years, I'll do some type of fasting, herbal purification, etc. And so in the meantime, if I don't feel well or something comes up, I'll do a couple rounds of garlic, maybe 2 or 3 cloves of garlic for maybe 3 days in a row, and I'll see how that makes me feel. You can also add golden seal and garlic at that level of raw garlic and golden seal. These are medicinal plants, something that you don't want to take for long periods of time because it can create imbalances.
Yeah.
But if the fungus is proliferating, it will abate that. And so you'll feel better and it'll come out in the toilet bowl.
Right.
And then sometimes when I want to go deeper, then I cut off the nutrition to the microbes. So dry fasting is amazing, which is no water and no food. You can do water fasting. I like juice fasting. Juice fasting is, it's likened to 3 days water fast and 1 day dry fast. So 1 day dry fast is equal to 3 days on water.
Wow.
Or 9 days on juice. And so I like the juice fasting because it has a double-edged sword. It feeds the cell dense nutrition. It's like a blood transfusion, if you will, juicing. And we're talking about fresh squeezed juices. Drank within, 15 minutes of juicing.
Right.
Either that or organic wheatgrass and spirulina powders that you add water to it, again, fresh and alive. And so when you're flooding your body with this type of nutrition, your digestion isn't being taxed, so your organs get to rest, which is the purpose of fasting. It's like you want the anabolic phase, you want the build up, you've heard of anabolic steroids.
Yeah.
Well, optimize your sleep,
Right.
right? Let your organs rest a couple of times a year through fasting. This is going to rejuvenate the body. You want health and beauty? You don't have to go to a day spa and get Botox injected to you. Why don't you just do a fast or allow your organs to rest or optimize your sleep? The body needs rest. The body automatically heals itself. This is our birthright. We want energy and vitality. Get back to these natural elements. Optimize your sleep. Fasting allows the organs to rest. When the organs and glands are optimized, the hormones function properly, and we have tons of energy. So it's just basically getting back to nature. Fasting used to be built into our culture when we were hunting and gathering and we missed the hunt, or it was wintertime and the harvest wasn't as rich, or we've got to wait until springtime to where we can start getting more food or hunt and gather, et cetera. And so we weren't gorging ourselves 3 times a day. And so the more I fast and play around with fasting, I do fasting in many different ways. I can do a fast for 1 day. I can eat 1 meal a day.
Yeah.
I can do a water fast. I just did a 15-day juice fast.
Wow.
With herbs that target my liver and my colon, also binders like charcoal and clay. The Indians used to love montmorillonite clay because it was good for digestion and it was loaded with minerals. And so these are tools in the toolbox, and we got far away from our natural roots. The earth has everything that we need. We have our own medicine chest within inside of ourselves.
Pharmacy and all. Yeah.
If we could just get out of our own way.
It's so true. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about ball slapping and the benefits and where you learned that, how you came into learning that the effectiveness of that technique.
So I had some trouble in my marriage about 10 years into it, and man-women relationships. I think we've always had our challenges, right? And I just think because of the programming these days, especially with feminism, I think there's a lot of separation. And, in my particular marriage, sex was used against me. It was the weirdest thing. The games that we play with each other.
Yeah.
And so it was like my former partner, she was an amazing cook and an amazing, I loved having sex with her, right? But as soon as I expressed that, it was like, none for you. So at one point, I told my former partner, I said, look, either you let me have a girlfriend,
right,
or let's get a divorce,
right.
And that triggered something in her, and she didn't like it.
I'm sure, yeah.
And so she's like, I want to be your mistress. And she started studying with Montauk Chia.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know Montauk Chia.
Yeah. And so all the sexual kung fu stuff. And we got a sexual kung fu coach. And each man and woman has their own exercises. The woman can use the jade egg. They can also use apple cider vinegar baths, clean up the vaginosis or any kind of fungus that's growing down there, and really just clean out the vessel and make sure that the vessel is clean, vital. Yeah. And so a big part of sexual kung fu is really health, right? The vitality, because once you actually start having intercourse and locking eyes and locking tongues and really having this powerful experience, the man does not ejaculate, so you can have extended forms of pleasure, and you can give the women more orgasms so they can get heightened pleasure, and then you don't ejaculate, and you can do this for hours, and it's like
very powerful.
You're flying to the moon. But at the baseline of that is all this holistic health stuff.
Yep.
And so and then I think society puts us in a certain way, and the feminism and the women are working, and the economy, the fake economy is getting played with. And after 2008 and 2009 and 2 children at almost 40, people are exhausted. And then it's, man against woman. And, I'm not saying that this is just what happens.
It is what it is
in life. And so we got to studying sexual kung fu, and we had an incredible, powerful time. It was some of the best times of our life in the relationship. And so women have their own exercises, men have their
ball
exercises.
slapping was
well the the massaging of the shaft and the ball sack, and there's so much vascularity that comes in and around the prostate, And so stimulating that area and massaging it in certain ways so that the chi flow, lymph flow, blood flow, semen manufacturing plant is all loosened up and vital
ready
and
to go.
virile. And so it's said that you roll or knead your testicles the amount of age you are. So I'm 58, 59 this month. And so rolling my nuts like 59 times every day, right? And then my friend, Rhino Ryan Hughes, who's the motocross champion of the world in the 90s, the guy's a friggin' animal, and he's got pins and needles and been in so many motorcycle accidents, but he's really big into Qigong and yoga and all this natural health. My mentor, actually, Paul Chek, he had a spinal cord injury, and Paul helped him get healthy. And this is many years he's been into this practice. So he's living testament to all this holistic health and natural medicine, corrective exercise stuff. And so one day, and he's no homo, but he sends me this fucking video of him slapping his balls out of the shower. And I'm like, what is this motherfucker up to?
What the fuck did you send me?
And I was like, okay, all right, well, fucking Rhino's doing it. It's good for certified health nut. Let me try this. I was like, fuck, this fucking hurts. And I go, hey, what is this? And he goes, ancient Chinese secret. And I was just like, okay. And then I cross-referenced it with my ex-wife's Taoist teacher, Lauren. He was like one of Montauk Chia's top guys. And he was like old hat. He's like, kneading, rolling, slapping. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just get stimulated down there. It's going to activate the chi. And I was doing ice baths a lot at that time and men's work. And anyhow, we had a retreat out in Sedona, and I was in my bikini after an ice bath, and it was very cold and snowing out there, and there was a fire.
Yeah.
And I just started slapping my balls, and I'd been practicing it for a while. It's very stimulating. It really brings the chi. You also channel it up the spine and then down through the pineal gland and down through your organs. And so it's this whole, and then you breathe with it. I mean, I was slapping my balls out of the cold shower now. I'm in Atlanta right now, and I live in the Valley of the Sun. Arizona water's not that cold, but this morning I'm like, it's like an ice bath here. And so I got out of that, and I'm stimulated. I like to push off my heels, so you get all the energy activating. And so it's a tool in the toolbox. So that's where the hashtag ball slapping comes from.
I love it, dude. I love it. It's good. It's good to know. I'm going to put it into my daily practice as well.
Yeah, it hurts in the beginning, man. You got to breathe.
I mean, I can't even imagine do it after an ice bath. You know, you're obviously your balls are, you know, they try and retreat as much as possible. How do you?
Well, I would start kneading them first. In fact, part of the sexual kung fu is to get a silk tie and tie it around your whole junk, and then and then
almost like a cock ring, almost.
Yeah, and you can do weights because basically your vagus nerve is attached to your tongue, and there's a ligament that goes from your tongue to your anus, I do believe, through your genitals, and it connects with the vagus nerve. So part of the sexual kung fu is also tongue exercises, and while you're stretching your junk out, right? Yeah, with your tongue. And it's all connected. I also like to get my eyeballs going at the same time, breathing, right? Get your whole mechanism functioning. And as we age, that dries out. And your tissues, just like your face, you see old people with wrinkles. Yeah. So these tissues, you want to get everything working. And men have prostate issues right now, especially if you're over 60. And so it's a way to lubricate, energize, get the chi flowing through it. Again, this goes hand in hand with your nutrition because your nutrition builds your tissues. And so so there's a ligament that goes from the tongue down into the genitals and through your heart. And also it's connected to the Taoist stomach massage, which is the four corners, liver, pancreas, spleen, all up underneath your ribs. And you're separating that fascia and the tissue from your ribs, which is connected to your breathing apparatus, which is the first form of nutrition, as I said before that. And then down into your descending colon and your ascending colon. And then the vagus nerve goes down through the center underneath your breastplate, and there's all sorts of emotions and nerve endings that can get tied up in there. So you loosen it up and then go around the belly button. So that's the Taoist stomach massage, and then the testicle kneading, the stretching of the tongue, the activation of the vagus nerve, which puts us into a parasympathetic state, which is rest and digest,
Yes.
feed and breed. The opposite of a lion chasing you, which is fight or flight or freeze. And most of us are dealing with chronic elevated cortisol right now because of cell phone towers, industrial waste, chemicals in our environment. My book has the 7 factors of stress. Digital communications going from one interface to the next, email, text messages, YouTube, Instagram,
Right.
woo. This is where all the stress and ill health
Right.
is originating from. It's like chaos is happening right now.
Right.
So we're just getting back to basics. And the Taoists figured this out. A little ball slapping could be healthy for you. Ask your doctor if this is right for you.
A little ball slapping goes a long way, my friends. So, I had a mutual friend and acquaintance of ours on a few weeks ago. Rodney Lavoie. I know you know Rodney.
Rodney, did he come down to Atlanta?
I got him to stop down on his way home. He was somewhere, and I was like,
his mom lives in Florida or something, and he's a New Jersey boy.
Yeah, well, he's from Boston, I think, but I think he's in Tampa now. I talked to him a little bit about, and he shared with me some insights. And I recently had a long conversation with a Colombian medicine man who lived with the Kogi tribe.
Oh yeah, that's some big business. That
Yeah.
must have been an interesting conversation. How'd that go?
I mean, we had technical difficulties, but I learned a lot from the conversation.
Kogis, they're known as the elder brothers.
Yes, very spiritual. Very, very incredible, in tune tribe that is very, very much in existence today. And there's 2 others who live in that same kind of area. He was a doctor from the allopathic that Colombia has, but he wanted to learn natural and shamanic, and so he went and lived with them. And one of the things that he showed me pictures of and some video of and told me all about was how they used urine to treat just about everything, and all the different ways that they, if somebody came and they had the whole village would pee in this thing, and they would use it. It was all medicinal. There was never a question, because everyone was raised with that understanding, that urine was.
I've never heard this story, so that's fantastic.
Yeah,
because I usually do urine therapy is all intuition.
Yeah,
a little bit of folklore I heard, and I was like, oh, that sounds good. But go ahead.
Well,
the Kogi have a cistern with pee-pee,
especially when they have
community pee-pee.
Someone in the tribe who has something going on with them, and so they have it on hand. But I said, so I mean, what I'm getting, I said to him, I was like, it's basically they use this in just about every way that they can when treating medical, issues that people in the tribe are coming into. And he was like, that's what I was taught, and then of course he went on to use this, and some incredible stories come from him teaching this to people, his family who were not exposed to that, and who were diagnosed with things like the big C. And he said, listen, there's one way out of this, it's going to be you.
Sir, you mean this is the one we should put on Patreon, right?
Yeah. Well, so he told, and I heard the story first. His sister was diagnosed with cancer, and he said, and she has this huge aversion to urine, and completely taboo for her. She would never. And he said, if you want to live, you're gonna have to start. You're gonna have to pretend this is magic juice. I wanted to ask this question for, hopefully people who are tuning into this, who are like, I love learning about this shit, but the practice of it is another challenge. if you're on a budget, right, a tight budget, let's say, and you were like, all right, I'm going to stop going to fucking Chick-fil-A every day. I'm going to start trying to cook my own meals. I'm going to go to the grocery store. What are some things that they just need to understand they have to stay away from if they're gonna really try to change their diet in a way that's healthy? Like, are there any like huge things that like you would say never buy this off brand, or if you're gonna buy this, don't buy. Is there any things that come to mind that you would advice that you would give them?
Yeah, I like to go high level on this. I was on a show recently and they were pulling out boxes of quote unquote organic materials, and boxed food is still processed to one degree or another. So I like to go high level. Pay now, pay later, pay the farmer, pay the doctor, your choice. Look in the fucking mirror. Who do you want to be? You want
Go
to
to
be
the farmer's market.
You want to be vital, you want to be energetic, then you're going to need some farmer direct nutrients. The body needs nutrients. And so farmer's market is an optimal choice. Build relationships with your farmers. I've been helping people save time and money at the grocery store for decades. I work with organic superfoods and herbs. Get your nutrition from me. It's only $12 a day. Start there, right? Then go to your farmer's market. Go there. Then go to polyfacefarms.com. Go to North Star Bison. Get your farmer direct meats delivered straight to your door. There are no excuses. If I can be healthy and you can be healthy, then we need to start supporting these farms and these people that are manufacturing and creating foods that are going grass-fed, regenerative farming, biodynamic farming, organic farms. All these monikers really just are steeped in quality. You want quality food. You want whole foods, not the corporation.
Right.
You want foods that are complete and whole. Vegetables, if that floats your boats, fruits, vegetables, meats, raw dairy, if you can source that. The Amish are great with this. You can put together a CSA, a community supported agriculture. You can pay for trucks to go up to Pennsylvania, make deals with Amish farmers and ship it out to California. We did that at Rossum. I covered that whole story when they busted Rossum, the FBI, the LAPD, the food department. They busted Rossum, and this was a food club that we had. Ajanus Vonderplants, the raw meat guy, this was his food club, and it was there for years until it got busted. I did the reporting on it for Natural News, Mike Adams, the health ranger, and this was back in 2011.
Wow.
You can still watch that video on my YouTube channel. It's when I first interviewed Paul Chek on this subject as well. And so this is real food. You can access it. And we need to start supporting these farmers to the nth degree.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. When you start investing in that, you start looking better. You start feeling better. You raise your frequency and vibration. And then you naturally attract that abundance, that true wealth that is here. And so it's really...
It's an investment. It's the best investment you can make.
Well, I've made some investments that haven't always paid off. After 2008, I invested in some silver. Silver's supposed to go to the moon. And I missed the phone call when it was up at 35, right? And it went back down to 17 below what I paid for it. So real estate investments, I haven't always been up in my investments. But for the past 30 years or so, I've invested in high quality nutrition, being time rich. Everything for me is about my lifestyle.
Right.
Can I ride my bike on the beach and go to Muscle Beach and survive stretching out my body and living a lifestyle type of business?
Yeah.
And so that has been the best investment because I have my cognition, I have my relaxation. I spent a lot of time meditating, 10-day courses in silence, Vipassana meditation. All that stuff has been a huge investment in my life that has paid incredible dividends over the years. And actually, the older I get, the more this is my retirement account. This is my 401k. I'm living it.
Yeah.
And so it makes a huge difference. Just don't be sold this idea of scarcity whatsoever. Invest in yourself, and it will pay immense dividends.
And realize that if it's difficult for you to think of life as anything but this struggle and race, that has been programmed into you, and that you may need to deep reprogram, and strip away some of that thinking if you're going to see abundance appear in your life. And a lot of people, most people, in fact, who grow up in Western societies need to understand that. That's the societal conditioning that's been put on us. But if you want to see things change, you have to change the way that you see the world, you see yourself.
Totally. Deprogram your mind. Get rid of your Netflix account. Why? Because you continuously psychologically warfare yourself. You're programming your mind. If you're not making money on social media, get off of it.
Right.
It's a major stress. It's highly addicting. The blue light, the frequencies, all of that stuff is there to addict you and make you feel shit about yourself. So you can continuously consume. And as we see the TikTok shop and Instagram now, they're all becoming buying platforms. And what are they selling? Plastic crap from China.
Everything.
So more shit to contaminate you. If you're not making money online, get off of it. Get those things off of your phones. Buy a flip phone. Or if you have to stay on it, join me and my team in business in saving the world. I've got plenty of business for anyone who wants to join me. In the health business, the health and wellness, the true organic business is skyrocketing. Whether you want to be a certified health nut or you want to sell my herbs and superfoods, we do $500,000 in business every single month.
Awesome.
The request for natural food, herbal medicine, fasting, juicing, herbs, all this stuff is skyrocketing right now.
Amazing.
My friend Ian Clark owns Activation Products up in...
I know Ian,
that guy's a wizard. He had leukemia. He was 400 pounds. He looked like shit. Now he looks like a spring chicken.
I know.
He looks amazing, that guy.
He's awesome.
And he's done a lot of the research, and it's $1 trillion a year industry. And we don't want it co-opted into the biohacking peptide. Where's the peptides? Where's the hormones coming from? It's coming from China. Right? And these things are all supposed to be amino acids and peptides and stuff. This is more synthetic crap that we don't need. Get back to nature in as many of its facets. Ian did the research. I think, your average person's in the wellness community spends about $8 to $10 a day. And so, and he's got very pure products. You want to source the best and the things that are going to work the most. This water is amazing, by the way.
It's great, right? I'm going to reach out to them to Aphora and be like, listen, drink your water all the time. Why don't we?
Yeah, work out some sponsorship, man.
Have to. Aphora.
Let's all help each other.
Absolutely. It's great water. People, I love it. It's just.
Well, this is so energizing. I've been intermittent fasting for 35 years on juice and water, micronutrients. I use essential amino acids as well. They have almost 0 calories and they're pre-digested. So they go right into my body, protect all my muscles, my lean muscle mass. So water and aminos pretty much every day.
Very important. Very important. So you recently went to Mexico. And we've spoken about plant ceremony. We've spoken about ayahuasca. And what an incredible medicine that is. Ibogaine is something that, I'm seriously considering heading down to Talia's and doing, just because my intuition, my soul tell me that it would be of immense benefit to me and my personality and, the things that, have always been on, in one way, shape, or form, the back burner for me, and you went down and you had a pretty profound experience. Twice you went down, right?
Yes.
And I'm wondering, what if we want? Let's talk a little bit about, ayahuasca and ibogaine, and I want to hear your experience because I'm seriously considering, going down for.
Have you done ayahuasca
Yes, I've done ayahuasca
in New York or
in New York. Yeah,
did you go to South America as well? Did you go to the jungle?
The temple that I went to is Shipibo based from Peru, so they come and go from
New York.
It's a transplant, yeah, but it's very very sacred ceremony, very seriously and incredibly done. I think it's actually better than being able to, because there's no bugs, and you're in a temple in New York, and it's beautiful. And the shaman is right. She's a godsend, but she trained with Shipibo in Peru. Is there every year, has been.
What's her name? I wonder if she worked with my guy.
Kaya.
Yeah, because there was a Brazilian woman. Where's she from?
Well, she's white, but
okay.
she sought them out, and she sought the Shipibo out in Peru, and they knew she was coming.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of these stories as well. So my mentor was the great gringo shaman Scott Peterson. He owned Refugio Altiplano, and he worked with a woman that lived in New York City, and she was Brazilian, but she connected to some Wall Street guys.
Wow.
And she brought them down to Scott Peterson's place with a lot of money. And Scott was educated on golf club membership.
Right.
So it was like a ayahuasca center, but he also had a membership. People really loved the experience.
Yeah.
And obviously drinking ayahuasca in the Amazon can be very enchanting.
Right.
And so these Wall Street guys invested a lot of money. They needed a satellite down there. This was mid 2000s. Mm-hmm. They needed a satellite dish down there so they could do their brokerage while they were in the Amazon, changing their lives.
Right.
And so I know that ayahuasca has been in and around New York City for a very long time.
Yeah.
And what Scott said, and I have one of the most watched videos on ayahuasca. It's called The Best Ayahuasca Definition by Scott, and it's filmed down at his place in the Amazon. And what he said that there's good shamans all around the world doing good work, and so the only thing you got to watch out, which he said, is the psychic density that you're working with in city centers. And so, if you have a good shaman, they're adept at putting up an arcana of protection, singing the ceremony in and setting up,
and the temple I went to is in the mountains in upstate. It's not in the city.
Right.
Yeah.
So the potential for it is there. But what he said about the ayahuasca, he said that these plants in the Amazon, they're regional, they're jealous, right? The energetic, spiritual element of them. And so you can do good ceremonies all around the world, and there are some done. There's also some potential for real fuckery.
Oh yeah, sure. I've heard
Brujos
stories.
and black magic.
And people just taking money for,
And they could do that in the Amazon too. Don't get me wrong, but he said, if you want to do a miraculous ceremony, come down to the Amazon.
Right.
And so, there's only that, but people can get good medicine anywhere. And it sounds like you do. You have a very clean energy field. Mm-hmm. I will tell you that my ex-wife, it's a double-edged sword. When we got divorced and separated the first time, it was ayahuasca that brought us back together. She started drinking medicine. We were in the Waldorf education system out there, and there were some Waldorf parents. They can have varying degrees of enlightenment,
right.
And so they started drinking ayahuasca in Los Angeles, and she had a certain level of an awakening where she came to me, and she's a very stoic person, and apology isn't one of the things that she likes to do. And she told me that she was sorry for blaming me and the relationship for everything.
Wow.
And I never thought that fucking day would come.
Yeah.
And of course, I instantly forgave her,
right.
But there's something about being honest, very forthwith, and apologizing for shit that you might have fucked up in.
Right.
Because there's nothing worse than being gaslit.
No.
It's not like I can't have forgiveness in my heart for someone that has wronged me,
right.
if you will. but having that apology like really shifted the energy. And I thought, wow, that's very profound. And it was, ayahuasca that she got that shift from. Later on, we started moving in the direction, because all I wanted to do was keep my family together.
Right.
I was given the opportunity to go to Rhythmia, which is a 5-star ayahuasca medical facility in Costa Rica. And we had a good experience as well. And that's what brought us back together. We went down and did ceremony down there and did a ceremony for our relationship as well, and got to back together as a family. However, later on, when she came back to Los Angeles, she kept on drinking with this group. And I don't know if it was a new group, but they were also mixing medicines. And when I asked her about the medicine, she said, oh, it's a white powder. And I'm like, nothing in nature is white.
No.
Right? And so nothing stays white unless it's synthetic. Because if it's from nature, like milk, it will curdle and then mold will grow on it if it's natural. And so I go, white powder? That's interesting. And so we'll come to find out, I ended up working with a famous energy healer, psychic down in Australia. His name's Peter McGraw. And come to find out, Talia and Tom that own Beyond, the Ibogaine Center, they work with him too. They're like, shit. Oh, you know Peter? Well, he looked into my energy field and he said, holy fuckballs, bro. The people, they did some Harry Potter shit on you, bro. That was fucking, he goes, you had like 9 curses on you and your family, and it went deep. Wow. And he pinpointed it to about 3 years and 8 months. And I go, oh yeah, that's when she was drinking ayahuasca with this group. And then I got wind of it, and it was like almost self-sabotage to a T, the whole relationship. And that's why I'm saying, like, do we really want divorce? Because at almost 60, and she's like the same as well, it's just like now we're living apart.
Right.
The children are usually with me.
Right.
And it's like, is that what we really want, moving into our next phase of life?
Right.
And so he basically said that she was drinking medicine with people that were up to no fucking good.
Wow.
Whether it was their spiritual energy field that was working with the dark forces and demons or whatever, it doesn't matter. It came through her portal and it set up shop in my family energetic field. And also doing like witchy women circles, like full moon circles in Sedona. And I just want to be spiritual. And I got my flat brim hat and I'm going to Tulum this summer. And whoa, look at me, loving life, baby. And there was nothing but fucking darkness in this whole portal. And and you would think, oh, that sounds like a bunch of fantastical bullshit, Troy. The fact of the matter is he cleared up the energy field, and there was lawsuits and all sorts of...
Oh, really? With
people decided to get the court system involved in my family and all that. Like, it was a good idea and shit, you know?
Yeah.
I do, and I've told my ex-wife this, stay the fuck away from the state.
Right.
And the state-run doctors.
Absolutely.
Because they fucking don't
anything
have your
centralized,
best.
You know?
Anything centralized, anything commercialized, stay the fuck away from it. So I guess it was a good idea in somebody's book to go down that road and lie to the authorities and all that stuff. And so anyways, the spell was broken, and that was over a year ago, and things have gotten so much fucking better.
Wow.
And what Peter McGraw told me, he goes, usually, Troy, the people that I deal with in your position are institutionalized in either a penitentiary or a mental institution. And, you know, thoughts of suicide, sleepless nights, gut-wrenching stress, night sweats.
Just out of character.
And I'm Troy Casey, dude. I'm going around. Let me do some fucking breath work. Let me do some ice baths. Let me live in Sedona. Like fucking, whoa, let's do some fasting. I'm just trying to navigate the fucking world.
Right.
And it's like, I don't dump all my shit on social media.
Right.
I have cried online and say, I'm going through some fucked up shit and a second divorce type of thing. And, you know, I have shared some of that stuff vulnerably, but dude, it was fucking hellfire.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Bro, fucking trying to navigate that shit. And
it's fucking crazy, dude.
And it made sense. I was like, no shit. It's fucking...
It makes a lot of sense, I'm sure.
Dude, I fucking thought about killing people and killing myself and all sorts of shit, man. I was just like, Fucking A, man.
What was the name of this of the healer again?
His name's Peter McGraw.
Peter
You
McGraw.
probably find him pretty easily. And again, I came down to work with Tom and Talia. So I did Ibogaine twice. Tom and Talia from the Ibogaine Clinic Beyond. It's a medical facility. It's badass. The Wolf of Wall Street's been down there. They've had quite a few celebrities down there. Ibogaine is used for trauma. It's used for chemical dependency mainly.
Yeah.
But again, back to what the bleep do we know?
Yeah.
The polypeptides. Are we addicted to our own anger?
Yeah.
To our own victim consciousness? And so, what chemicals inside of our body are we addicted to shopping?
Right.
Are we addicted to alcohol? Are we addicted to fentanyl?
People
which is a
pleasing,
big fucking issue.
what-
Codependency.
Whatever. It's across the board. I think that we're all prone to it. Yeah.
So Ibogaine was an excellent tool in the toolbox. Because of my brand online, I have a lot of people that want to work with me, and Tom and Talia contacted me as well as Rhythmia, whether I wanted to come down and do some media on them, my experience, have an experience. I definitely recommend Rhythmia. Excellent facility.
Yeah.
2 nights of breath work, bookended for 4 nights of ayahuasca with the Colombian shamans, the real taitas. And real medicine, really good facility. And again, 5-star setup, air-conditioned units.
No bugs,
No mold, no bugs.
Right.
It's worth every penny. Because I will take you down to the Amazon as well, which is amazing. I don't recommend it for single women travelers and stuff like that. And there's opportunists in the Amazon as well. But I recommend Rhythmia. I recommend the Amazon if you're really up for a huge adventure. And then Ibogaine, I've always wanted to do Iboga since I heard Joe Rogan talk about it on his podcast. Aubrey Marcus talked about it. And I knew as soon as Aubrey was talking about it, I was like, I'm going to do that medicine. And I was
Has he done it too? Has he done Ibogaine?
Yeah, that was talked about, I would say,
shit.
5, 6, 7 years ago.
Oh, okay.
He was, what was the name of the warrior poet or something?
Oh, yeah,
like
that's
that.
right. Yeah.
And so he talked about Iboga back in the day, and I always knew that I would do it. And so Tom and Talia called me up, and this is 2022. They contacted my team first, and that was when the masks were going on. And I went down to do Dave Asprey's Bulletproof conference. I had sold out classes, and I came down from Sedona. I went into the airport, and they started telling me my mask was different from the mask that she was wearing. And I was like, fuck you. I'm not putting up with this shit. So needless to say, I didn't get on that plane.
Yeah.
And the Bulletproof conference was pretty big. So I didn't end up on that. So this was in 2022. And so Tom and Talia called me up and I said, thank you very much, but I'm not interested in nose tests, blood tests, COVID, anything, signing documents, having my picture taken, working with governments. I'm just not into any of this testing bullshit and mask wearing, and I won't put up with zero of it. So it's probably not a good idea that I travel. So 2022, and they had just opened then. That didn't work out. Well, 2023 came around, and they contacted us again, and there was no mask requirements, and they wanted me to come down and really have an experience at their place. And I'm here to tell you that Beyond is amazing. It's a medical facility with 30 plus nurses, 3 doctors, and I don't ever hang out around doctors or hospitals or anything. So I didn't really have an experience with that, and it was amazing. These nurses, the care that they give, and it was Mexico. It's not the United States, so it's not all this.
No, I know.
The doctors were much more open, and they knew I was into natural medicine. So my experience at Beyond was incredible, and I did.
You went twice. So
I went twice, and so the first time around, I came back, and I wasn't even working on my tobacco. I love tobacco, and I smoked for many years, and then I didn't smoke, and then during COVID, I smoked a lot more, and
yeah, I like a little tobacco myself.
I love tobacco. Well, ever since 2023, I went camping with my military buddy who smokes like a chimney. I went camping with him, and I stayed over his house, and I smoked zero tobacco, and I fucking love tobacco, and I haven't touched it for at least 2 years. And so I have no urge whatsoever. And then I went back again this year to go deeper. Tom and Talia invited me. And look, I've got my own trauma patterns. I grew up on the street. There was, abuse. My parents were fist fighting in the womb. I did a lot of research for natural childbirth when my son came.
Yeah.
We had him in water. So I did a research on my own birth. And my parents were fist fighting in the womb, and out of the womb. So there was plenty of trauma around. Yeah. Plus, I was pulled out of my mother's vagina while she was knocked out cold on drugs. That's the way they birthed children back in the 60s. And I was pulled out with those forceps that wrap around the skull and pulled out. And it makes sense because I came out fucking fighting, motherfucker. You going to pull me out of here? You know? And so, and if you look at birthing, the child comes naturally, right? And pushes off.
No, it used to. Now we have to get back to it. Yeah.
So all that trauma, in me, and really just understanding who I am, the ibogaine really helped me. The first year that I went down there, I saw 8 hours of Hitler, hell, lynchings, slice open an artery, bleed, die, death, World War I, World War II, like all that shit was living in my nervous system.
Wow.
For however you want to look at that psychologically, that was the review of my life, my genealogy, whatever's inside of me was 8 hours of just fucking death, man. And I was just like, fuck, man. That makes sense because I've just been on edge, my whole life. My whole certified health nut journey has been about Vipassana meditation, which addresses the nervous system. Right. Before that, I would just drink alcohol. Yeah. When I was a fashion model, traveling, living in Miami, living in Milan, drugs and alcohol were free. Right. So I would just kill all this neurological excitation, if you will, with alcohol. Then I found meditation. Then I started working with Maori healers, drinking the ayahuasca, continuously awakening, to different levels. Then I found breath work through my divorce. And so this has kind of been the journey. And Beyond is an amazing facility. If you know anybody that's suffering with chemical dependency or trauma, I went down there for human optimization.
That's what I would go down for. Yeah.
I don't have a drug addiction problem.
No, I don't either. But I'm interested
at this age
in healing and optimizing. And I know there's a lot that I can, that I could gain from going down, just as far as my own neurochemistry and the way I operate. My intuition is like, there's definitely a mine there for you to go into. So I'm seriously considering it. I would probably see about maybe next year, or see what's up, because I think it's an incredible facility and a medicine.
Look, if you're chemically dependent, go down there. Yeah, like don't even think about it. Fentanyl kills people for sure. Cocaine. I saw all sorts of addiction, pills, Oxycontin. Oh yeah. And it's easy to get addicted these days. I think we have such a stigma on addiction, but if you look at what pharmaceutical drugs Purdue Pharma did with Oxycontin, they're highly addicting. Now, if you get any street drugs, it's laced with fentanyl. Who created fentanyl? Who's got the patent on fentanyl? Who's manufacturing it? China. Right. The cartels in Mexico. So if you do have some type of chemical dependency and you can afford a situation, like run. Yeah, go. Don't wait. Walk down there. Just get down there and go through this process. I witnessed miracles upon miracles with other patients that were down there. And Tom and Talia, again, have a medical facility with all the holistic and spiritual elements. Mm-hmm. They're such amazing people. You will be well taken care of. At a bare minimum, if your nervous system just needs a retreat, go down there. Right. It's completely beneficial. Yeah. For any walk of life, whether you're addicted or not, maybe your nervous system's all jacked up and you just want healing. Maybe you want to get into the holistic lifestyle. And again, this is not a cheap date. So if you can afford it, I definitely recommend, going down there for sure.
Awesome, man. Listen, I want everyone to be made aware of this incredible online community that you've built, the courses that are possible for them. If you're giving away 2 different freebies right now. The 9 Pillars of Health, you have a free guide. People can visit and download that. And you also have a mold guide, right? A new guide out, which is to help people understand dangers of and different
mold.
things.
I was exposed to mold from 2010 to 2013.
Right.
In a beautiful penthouse in Santa Monica. It was dry in the summer. We moved in, but the whole place had mold infestation. And mold can get in the brain.
Yeah.
A lot of the discoveries that I've had in the last decade or so came from my mold poisoning experience.
Wow.
And so I have a mold guide. It helps. Remember, awareness is the first step. Getting cognizant on potential mold contamination. I also had 5 smart meters on my living room wall in that apartment at the same time. And back to Klinghart's work, it grows mold 600 times, just ambient Wi-Fi, electromagnetic radiation.
It's fucking crazy.
So yeah, we've got the mold guide and the 9 Pillars of Health, which is the curriculum that's in my book and my Knowledge of Self University. We've got an incredible community over there.
Check it out, everyone. Check it out. You cannot go wrong. Only good things can come from visiting this man's work and his online courses community. I'm doing it. Tell you, since I met him, he's changed my life in a very healthy way, and it's been awesome, man. So check that out. If you have not subscribed to this YouTube channel, subscribe to it. Many of you who are listening are not subscribed. Subscribe to Troy's YouTube channel. He's still active on there. You can follow him on Instagram as well, Certified Health Nut. If you probably follow him already if you're listening, but his videos are awesome, and I enjoy everyone that comes across that the algorithms let me see. But this has been incredible, brother. I'm so grateful for your time. I'm so grateful you came down.
Yeah, I'm so grateful to be here and to be able to share. And so, God bless you, your family, and everyone out there in cyberspace.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, brother. Awesome.
Man. Thank you, everyone. Everyone have a great week. And much love. Don't forget to leave a review if you're listening on the audio platforms.
Woo! Sweet, dude.